Hey everybody, back again after a while. Um, Last time I talked about FNAF, people really seemed to like it. So I'm back with another wild theory. But this one, I think, has the potential to really change a lot of the things people think about the series. Because one of the biggest problems people have when doing FNAF timelines is the fact that between FNAF 4 and sister location, it would make it seem like um, basically sister location would have to take place before FNAF 4. And people believe that FNAF 4 is the lead up to either the bite of 83 or 87, however you want to look at it. But that's never made sense, because then you have to have the sister dying way earlier, and then you have these advanced animatronics that just disappear for a while. And it just doesn't make sense that way. And a lot of people tried to force things to make sense, or just by not mentioning that. But I think the reason it doesn't make sense that way is because it's not supposed to be that way. And a lot of that confusion, I think, comes from FNAF 4 and what people assume is happening in that game. Because people assume it's immediately after the bite, pretty much, and that it's the crying child having these nightmares about what happened to him as he passes away. But then when we see the house and sister location, that doesn't make any sense. Because why would he be there? And why would they be doing the research in sister location that they're doing if the whole bite hadn't happened yet? So I think we've really, really got the timeline wrong there. Because here's the big crazy moment, okay? I think what FNAF 4 is the result of probably William Afton or someone trying to bring back the crying child. Much like how we believe, a lot of people believe that Gregory is a robotic version of the crying child. This might be the first incarnation of that. And I believe what we're actually seeing in 4 is after that child gets the remnant from the original incident put into him, and he starts getting those memories back from the original crying child, and they come in the form of nightmares. And if you think of it this way, then all of a sudden Midnight Motorist makes a lot more sense, because then what is happening at the Midnight Motorist is that one of these replicated crying children is either being kidnapped, stolen, or just running away. Which could be an interesting lead up, because you could almost have that fit perfectly to where that one ran away and then went to the Pizzaplex. It's a thought. But I think that makes a whole lot more sense in the timeline than what a lot of people have presented or just kind of ignored. Because if you have it like that, then what happens is you can have the bites take place, way in the past. And then you have Afton doing his experiments, moving on to his other company, the Circus Babies. And then, after the incident that happens with his daughter, he starts to understand what the remnant can do and what level it can bring someone back, instead of just using it to make animatronics alive. And I think that's what we see in FNAF 4. So I believe FNAF 4 actually takes place after sister location. And that could all actually work pretty well, because I think that solves a lot of the issues people were having. And a lot of that was just because they were assuming that the mini games were something that was happening to your character at that time. When I think the mini games are actually just the memories coming back. And it doesn't have to be the child in recovery right there. I think it's the remnant that has been put into a new body suddenly remembering these events. And I know people like to say, oh, flatlines at the end. Well, maybe. Here's a dark take. Since they do have multiple robot versions of children in books and everything, maybe that one did. Maybe it took them quite a few tries before they could find a robot body that could handle the trauma that the crying child had been through, without just completely breaking down. I don't think I've ever seen anyone kind of tackle this theory this way. And I know it kind of blows a hole in a lot of the other timelines, but you know what, so be it. To me, it makes a lot more sense this way. Because what's the alternative otherwise? Was the house there, and then they had these advanced animatronics way before 83 or 87? That doesn't make any sense. I could see it being like maybe happening around the same time as, Security Breach, because they're kind of on a similar technological level. And then, of course, it kind of has to happen, if you think about it, before Security Breach, because that's when the idea of the conglomeration comes together. So it's interesting. It would almost have to take place between, like, maybe, I'd say maybe around the time of FNAF AR, because that would make a little more sense, because then that's what the Circus Baby's Pizza World was. They weren't really a location. They had one. I think the main thing they did was they shipped these to parties, so they could go out, which is exactly what FNAF AR is. So I believe, or I could be mixing it. FNAF Health Wanted, maybe. Sometimes I get them mixed up, but I believe it fits more nicely at that part of the timeline than trying to make it the beginning of the timeline. Because, there's kind of hard to rectify this fact that it seems like the house is above, the Circus Baby Pizza World, a whole lab, basically. But this would make a bit more sense if, the lab was there, and then as he was doing the experiments to recreate the crying child, he made a replica of the house up above so that he could try to get these memories back. Because, up until that point in the series, the animatronics really seemed to lack any sort of awareness of what they were, or what they had been. It wasn't really until Elizabeth that you had a strong personality that got attached to something. So I think it would almost have to happen that way, because that would make sense why the animatronics in the earlier games and the ones earlier in the timeline were pretty much just mindless killing machines, because they didn't retain their original memories. They didn't know who they were. They just pretty much had those original emotions from that moment, and that's what drove them. But anyways, sorry, I tend to ramble. You should know this by now if you've watched a few of these. That's my main new take on the timeline and the theories. like to see everyone else's thoughts. Did I just destroy FNAF as you know it? I'm sure someone will think that. But I think this really actually helps make things make a lot more sense than they did before. Because I don't really see it working any other way than this. If FNAF 4 is actually a rebuilt version of the Crying Child, then it could happen, right around the same time as Sister Location. Or even slightly after Sister Location. Who knows? Because it seems like they are very close in time. But anyways, before I ramble too much, make sure if you enjoyed my rambling or just liked my train of thought here, make sure to like, subscribe, hit those notification things, whatever it is you have to do these days to make the YouTube algorithm happy. Because apparently I don't do that very well. But anyways, please let me know your thoughts below. Hey, and if you want to, please share this out to the other theorists. I would love for them to rip my theories apart. That would mean someone's watching my videos. Alright, you all have a good one and take care. And I'll see you the next time.